welcome Droopman, HB Miner Fan, Crypto Jorge, C Trader XT, We Got Game, and Doi Doi. So we have a number of people from last time who've indicated interest in working on the project. Thank you everyone for adding some information about yourselves. The agenda for today, first part of the session, try to explain how the Streamlit framework works, like kind of why we're using it. I'll try to also develop a little bit on dashboard, show how the outline of one or two of the pages work, and explain kind of like what we think the outstanding tasks are by page. We don't want to kind of like assign tasks to people. Instead, I think the approach we want to take is try to identify owners for these separate pages in the dashboard. Maybe try to have like 2 owners per page. They're the ones responsible for improving it. Fada and I, our role will be to kind of set the standards, define the overall architecture. We do want to actually give ownership of individual dashboard pages to the groups. You see why Streamlit is well suited for. All right, so last time we talked about this launch blog post that we published that explains what the goal of dashboard is. And as a reminder, the goal is to kind of like allow someone to basically control either lots of different Hummingbot instances or analyze a single instance using a visual dashboard in the browser. It's designed to be a companion to your bots. Okay, so today let's get into a bit more detail. Let me actually kind of like walk you through how to get started with Streamlit and the dashboard itself. So dashboard, it's built using Streamlit. So Streamlit is a popular open source framework for building all kinds of different dashboards. I suggest you just take a look at their getting started guide. I think Streamlit's quite easy to use because it's Python based, just like Hummingbot. This is the open source repo, so it's github.com/hummingbot/dashboard. If you're just launching it, there's an easy way to do that with Docker. But if you're involved in the dashboard group, you should probably be installing this from source. The first thing you would do is, just like Hummingbot, you would install either Anaconda or Miniconda. Then you can just clone this dashboard GitHub repo. Then you can go into the directory and then run this command in order to create the dashboard environment. So I've already done that. So I can just activate it, the environment. So once you've activated the environment, you've loaded the dependencies that the dashboard needs. Now you can just run this command, streamlit run main.py. One thing I've already done, I suggest you do this too, is to link the data directory in your dashboard project with the data directory where your bot's running. And this will allow the dashboard access to the data files because a lot of how it works is it'll use those files to generate the graphs. I do OS. I've already symlinked the data directory over. One thing to note is that we are updating the environment pretty often. If errors when you're updating a dashboard, you may need to update the environment, and you would do so like this with conda env update. So they're already up to date, so I can just run the dashboard like this with streamlit run main.py, and now the dashboard itself will run. Let's dive into the code a little bit. This is the actual code of the dashboard project here. Every dashboard here is a separate page. This main page is the first one that loads, which is main.py. I think a good example of how simple Streamlit is. Look at the code here. You can see, you can basically infer exactly how it's generated here. The title setting is high frequency trading. This is where it's setting the title. The st.title creates a header like this. It says welcome. So this entire main page, this is the entire code. The other ones are organized as subpages here. I'll walk through a couple of these, give you a little more context. Here is the DB one, allows you to analyze a database file. So let's analyze one of these databases. We created this more as a dummy database to show everyone how to use this dashboard. And so you can see that the code for this dashboard page is really also quite simple. We have 2 functions. This function returns the data for a specific database table. This one here just fetches all the database tables. Code for this database dashboard is really just setting the the title, adding a line, and then basically creating a file uploader widget here. And then after that, you can basically just update the database when the user, if there is a table here, then the table will be shown. So those are kind of two simple pages. I'm actually going to invite Fede on stage as well.
Multi-select. So as you can see here, select box is going to be the one for exchange it, and multi-select is going to be the one for the intervals. Then we have the text input for the training pairs, the number input for the days, and then we had a button here and for create the candles, and another one to clean the candles folder. If we are cleaning the candles folder, we are using the OS utils module that we have here to remove the files from that directory. And if the get data button was pressed, here I am constructing the variables that I'm going to dump as a YAML, because every time that I'm going to create a new container, if it is using a compose file, the structure that I created is create a new YAML file with the configuration that you need, and then run the compose file using that YAML as environment variables. So that is like the first way that you can orchestrate containers with this Docker manager. So way number one is running a compose file with an environment YAML that you can create dynamically based on the configuration that the user is trying to set. So in this case, we are selecting the configuration of the exchange, training pairs, the intervals, and the dates to download. And the good thing is that here in Hummingbot, we have in scripts the download candles example, that is the example that we are going to use, is getting these variables via env variables. This is a change that I did to the script. And this is also how you can make your scripts configurable via env variables. It's like you're going to say, okay, I would like to get from the environment the exchange. If there is no exchange, I will use this one. I don't know why the timestamp is here, probably is old, so the owner of the page should check that. And then the Docker manager has this method that is create download candles container that has this candles config, that is the configuration for the script, and where the script is going to be located. So this method basically is dumping the YAML in that directory, and then using that directory here, you also should be trying this YAML path. Well, it has to be in the other repository. Here is hard-coded, and should be also YAML path. But well, that is how that method works, and it's going to create that specific file for you. After that, we have some helper methods that we are going to see also in the orchestration page. That is, to get the active containers, this Docker Manager class will retrieve you a list with the names of the active containers that the system has. Also, we have methods to get the list of the containers that are excited. And then we can stop a specific container based on the name and clean the excited containers too. So this, for example, there is download 30, download candles. If I click here, now you will see that if I refresh, so if I go here again to dashboard, you will see that it's created. So the candles downloader is created, and it should be subscribed to the candles feed for each of the training pairs that we ask, and it's going to start downloading the candles. So as you can see, this is the quantity of candles that are left for ETH USDT. Well, once this container finished, right now it only stops the strategy. For example, if this container finished, now I remove the container, then I will see here that candles downloader is running, so I can use the stop download candles here. Now it's excited, and as it's excited, now appears here like one of the containers that is excited, so you can clean the containers, and it's going to clean also this Docker path. In this bot orchestration, the good thing is that this is like a better version of the other one, and the main difference is that we are creating the containers with just without a YAML file. We are creating just with running the Docker command. I have here also some configurations to add, but if you want to create the broker, for example, it's going to take a while too, because I don't have the image, so it's downloading the image as you can see. This command, when you press this button, is going to create a broker. Then every time that a new bot is created with the bot, is going to match that container with the broker. So now you have access to the instance by using the broker. Now we should see also here like the broker is running. So now if I create, for example, Hummingbot 1, if I create this instance and then I create Hummingbot 2, it's going to call this method, create instance. If we click here, it's going to use this method that is create Hummingbot instance from the Docker manager that receives the instance name, the base conf folder, and the target conf folder. So with this information, the Docker manager is going to create these instances by mapping the conf folders that you are going to need. All of this is like very experimental, so the owner of this page should also work or suggest improvements on the Docker manager, and I am the one that is going to probably help you with this. Now the container should be created, so here, by using the method getActiveContainers that we have and filtering the ones that are for Hummingbot, we are able to list all the instances that we have here. And a new feature of Streamlit lets you create like an extra columns with select box and all that stuff. So here I can select this and stop the container, tap start the strategy, clean or remove the strategy. So it's like a better version of what you saw in the Canvas downloader. Well, probably a bunch of things can be added to this table, and I think that this is one of the most interesting pages to work on. Lastly, I would like to mention this strategy performance page that right now has this. Before, where we were using CCXT to get the real-time candles. Right now it's different because we are using the database that is inside the bot. Now we have an extra table that when you start a strategy and you want to run a strategy, we don't know, 2 trading pairs or 3 trading pairs, those trading pairs are going to be, we're going to record the mid price, best bid, and best ask, and order book snapshot every 1 minute by default. So every time that you run the bot, you have the data, the market data that the bot was using when it was running. So this page is more like an historical performance page. Will let you select from the one database. You're going to be able to select the exchange that was traded there and the trading pair. So if you trade more than one trading pair, you can see the report of the performance of the strategy in different trading pairs. And if you change here, for example, the interval of the candles, you will see that now is pretty fast. This is because, as I mentioned, I make this upgrade of collecting the market data in the bot.
It's not limited to just
that is another a good comment, Mike, because before CCXT has a bunch of bugs and the trading pairs weren't normalized to call them in different exchanges, so it wasn't working at all when you were trading on, I don't know, DYDX or KuCoin. The API was very bad. So with this change, now it's all standardized around Hummingbot, so that is pretty cool because you don't need something extra. So another thing that people can start doing here is to review these general stats, see how you can improve the report of this. Well, this is more like an historical. We are also going to create a kind of real-time dashboard bot analysis page that will be only for the bots that are running. And I created a video that is in the Discord group with an example of how we can implement that by using a while and reading the database again and again. And it's pretty cool because it gets updated like every second. I think that can be really, really interesting. With that frequency of updates, we can see the order book in real time because we are collecting the order book. And we can also put our orders as a line, horizontal lines, in that order book that is getting updated in real time. And that is something that you can see if you are trading different exchanges, for example, because they all have like different UIs. Some of them shows you the orders that you place, some of them not. So I think that can be a really cool feature. And if you're interested in that, I can build it, or anyone can help me building that. I imagine something like having the OHLCs with a specific quantity of candles, because that is another task that I add for this page. Because if you render, I don't know, 1,000 or 2,000 candles, it gets really buggy. So we should define like a max candles for this graph and then do pagination. The code of this is very interesting too. You can check it in pages. And the good thing of here is that I am selecting the database from the data directory. So this is the problem of this also is that the strategies that you run in here, Hummingbot files, bot configs, these strategies, we need to make sure that they are mapped to that folder too, so you can see like the data of all the bots that you are creating. But I think that is something really easy. So, well, once you select the database, you're going to use the database manager. That is another helper class that I created. And this database manager will get you all the config files that that database has. Once you get that config file, you are going to use two helper classes that I also created. The one is like a shell strategy data that hosts all the trades and all the orders and all the information from the whole database with all the strategies that are inside. And then we have this specific method that is to get a single strategy that is running in just one trading pair. That is what we are doing like here, because this report is just for one exchange and one trading pair. And this is like the same of the other object, but only has information of one specific exchange. It has some methods to auto filter the strategy. It is already computing a bunch of things for us, and that's how we are like, once we create this object, we are able to show, for example, the exchange, the trading pair, the duration, when it starts, when it's the end time, the price change in between when the bot was running. Well, we have a bunch of things here, and we are also using this method that is get market data resampled, that based on the interval the user selects on the Streamlit app is going to resample the mid price that we have in the database of market data and return you a data frame resampled with the time frame that you want. And then we have another helper object that is candles graph that lets you, it creates like a base graph of OHLCs, volume, P&L, whatever, and you can add, for example, the buy trades, the sell trades, the P&L, the base inventory, or whatever indicator or thing that you want here. This is like the purpose of this object, to have something that you can continue add more things. So you just need to select extra rows and the quantity of rows that you want. And well, we are just using plotly to show that graph. So that's all. The last thing that I would like to show you, that is, this is experimental, is the backtesting module that, well, basically is using the triple barrier method, that this is going to be abstracted in another repo probably, that we have backtesting, labeling, research notebooks, strategy, well, whatever. All these files are the ones that let me do the backtesting. I investigated Optuna, that is a hyperparameter tuning framework. So I ran this for example, this Bollinger strategy and this MACD and Bollinger Advanced strategy, and it creates this report. And also we have the Optuna dashboard to see that. So if I run this Optuna dashboard, it also shows us this report that shows you, for example, the study of Bollinger, which is the returns that I got with Bollinger, the importance of the variables, which was the best trial. This is the revenue, the P&L that the strategy has. You can analyze like relationships between indicators. As we thought that this is already pretty cool, and we should focus more in the creation of the data and using this dashboard to analyze like the performance of the studies.
Generally, the backtesting step is kind of like, we're not sure how should we integrate it with Optuna, for example, because we don't want to reinvent the wheel. So, all this stuff is like things people won't want to use. So right now, the way we're pushing it is the current existing dashboard pages are kind of designed for us to, understand how to create dashboard pages that are, have a good user experience. And then once we do more experimentation with backtesting, and we understand after probably about another 1 or 2 months, we should have a better sense for like what the user experience what the flow from a user standpoint would look like from backtesting. Like where do you start? What do you want to do? How do you actually then use that in your strategies? Once we understand that, hopefully at that time, this dashboard project is a little more advanced. We'll have like, the various pages fleshed out more. Last part today, I want to just kind of walk through some of the existing tasks that we have laid out. What we want to try to do is not to find owners for every page, but more just to figure out who's interested in working on what. Generally, in terms of tasks, there's a set of general tasks, and that is to, I'll probably lead that. If someone wants to help me, I would love to have another person who's maybe good at like kind of design or documentation alongside me. But the general tasks, I think, are to essentially create a template, standardized template for a dashboard page so that each of the other owners has some resource to look at. I think we should also improve the README in the dashboard GitHub to explain how to install, update, and use dashboards so everyone can using it, and also how people can contribute to the project. How they can join the group, how they can submit a pull request to edit their pages, basically things that ease the flow for everyone else working on the project. The main page, which is that first page you land on. So I think if someone owns this main page, it's almost like the welcome screen for dashboard. What should it have? Identify hopefully 2 owners per page. So me, and then if anyone else wants to help out, post a note on the dashboard, the private group. I think we can organize there. But yeah, hopefully there's one more co-owner for this, and hopefully this person has is like interested in working on stuff related to like standards and design and documentation. So boring stuff, but I think it's necessary for everyone else. So the strategy performance page. So this one I think is an important page for us to flesh out, because this is probably the main page that people who are running a bot will be using to analyze their strategies. Some of the things we need to do is, I think the error handling can be improved. It's like, for instance, what if the person doesn't have a data folder, symlinked, don't have any strategy files right now, there's error messages. So just kind of like improving the overall error handling of the page. Someone who's good at graphs and charts and just reporting in general, I think would be good. So yeah, finding 2 owners for this. The bot orchestration page is also an important page that we want to try to find a couple owners for. There's a lot of user experience improvements that we can make here. How does a user know when a bot's been created? How do you kind of like edit the strategy file? How do you make sure the strategy files are in the right location? Things like that. Backtesting, actually, we're trying to move this one down a bit because this one probably needs a bit more work on our side. So after orchestration, I think Candle's downloader is kind of similar to orchestration in that there's a lot of like user experience type of improvements that can be made. And I think for both of these, so I think someone who's familiar with Docker, I think would be a good to work on, because both of these, orchestration and Candle's downloader, involve a bunch of like Docker container manipulations. Finally, we have a few kind of like starter dashboard pages we created initially. I think these actually would be good for someone else, for people to own as well, especially if you're looking to get involved with the project and understand how to like maintain one of these pages. I think this will actually help you understand how Streamlit works, learn some Python, learn data visualization, and also kind of get involved with the project. But all these pages are less important, I think, than the other pages we have up here. But we have one that helps people analyze different tokens in different markets. This one is the one that downloads a database file. This one helps you analyze different DeFi protocols and so forth. So the summary, we really do want to make this a community-based project. It's identifying people who want to own something, and we don't want to manage people necessarily. But from our side, Fede and I, we're going to be making improvements to this thing no matter what. We'll be improving these pages, especially the strategy performance and orchestration and these no matter what. But I think we would like help from the community, especially if people want to own and maintain some of these pages, because one thing we've learned in the past is it's like when you feel a sense of ownership, then it's like becomes your baby, and we want to actually give people that impression. So that's why even for the general side, I think who the maintainers are for each dashboard page is something we want to actually display and make pretty prominent. Hopefully that you get some kind of credibility and some developer cred for maintaining this page. So that's why. So overall, if you're interested in working on this, I would say join the dashboard group. Use that for the main kind of logistics. Does anyone have any questions? Streamlit has if there's one page for every strategy, most likely in the long term. Right now, because we're just starting out, we just have this one strategy performance page that just shows you, a generic, a chart for one strategy. But what we kind of envision in the future is that, in the future, people will want specific dashboards for specific types of strategies. You may want a different one for market making than you would for, let's say, directional strategies. But initially, I think it'll be easier to try to create one base strategy performance template that the other ones can build off of. Yeah, exactly. And also, I think HP Miner fan asks, is it possible to add a miner dashboard? It will be later down the road. To be honest, yeah, I would say if you want to own the dashboard and kind of design it, HP Miner fan, please, that'd be great. Right now, we haven't scoped it out yet, mainly because of lack of bandwidth, I guess. But this is kind of like one reason why we want to have this owner model, so that so we can just focus on the base templates, but then other people in the community, if they want to design and create a really awesome miner dashboard, that they can do that. Awesome. Cool. I think hopefully kind of group where there's 2 people per major dashboard page. Fade and I will try to set like the overall standards and try to help everyone, give everyone the resources to actually, do the work. But overall, we're looking for people who, are interested in helping out in their spare time, mainly, because they want to learn, because they want to contribute to open source, and also because they're interested in using what we're all building. Thanks everyone for joining. Yeah, we'll do this in another 2 weeks, and hopefully we'll have more to update you then.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye everyone.